It's been really busy.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to welcome everyone, and I'd like to call the meeting to order. And the first thing on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Would y'all please stand?
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The next item is a moment of silence. Would y'all please join us? Thank you. Next item is going to be discussion and possible action on May the 9th, 2016 board minutes. Does anyone have any questions on these? No? Okay, so have a motion to accept. I need a second.
I'll say.
Have a second. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is discussion and possible action on May the 26th, 2016 board minutes. Does anyone have any questions or comments on those? If not, I need a motion to accept.
I'll make a motion to accept.
Have a motion, I need a second.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The next item is discussion and possible action on treasury orders in the amount of $259,298.22.
Question, Madam Chair. I believe this is the paper that I looked at where on, and it may be ordinary, but the columns, for the people who don't have a copy of this audience, the columns of this says original appropriation, transfer and adjustments, revised budget, year-to-date actual, what you spent, and then available budget. And the line on available budget, I see that many of these things are, I guess, with a minus on it, correct? Which means we have overspent in that area. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Does it give a total of, and this is for fiscal year, correct, sir?
Yes.
Thank you. Does it give a total of,
It's fiscal through the end of April.
end of what, sir?
April.
April. This is,
Yeah, this is, yes.
okay. So the total revenues on page 3 with the minus beside of it, is that how much minus that we are either overspent, but also these have to do with like the unmined mineral taxes and things, right? And delinquent property taxes.
Yeah, that's everything together.
That's everything together. Is that a number that we should be worried about?
Are you referring to the minus in front of you?
Yes, sir.
Don't, on the revenues, the way that you account for the revenues, the minus means that it's actually a positive. Just the way that it's accounted for, when you credit that account, it's actually a negative credit.
Okay.
But that's a good number. The higher that negative number is, it's good.
Okay, thank you. I just didn't understand, but
Yeah.
I'm for the first time in my life, I'm trying to have a budget in my life for the last 3 months.
Yes.
And it's the damnedest thing ever was, but I'm always breaking over, you know, I have so much in my, anyway,
Yeah.
too much information, I guess. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, so, on page one, the negatives in front of those numbers, that's a good number?
On,
Well, I see the classified overtime salary, no, other classified extended service, and then classified substitute salary. The negative 20,000, is that a good number?
no, those are expenditures, not revenues. So the negative numbers are bad on the expenditures.
Okay. How do we get in that big of a hole, classified substitute salary? Is that,
We have a lot of substitutes.
substitute teachers?
Yes.
Well, that's what I was wondering. Would they be considered classified though, because they don't have a contract?
That's
Substitute-
classified.
This would be like
That's
substitute
classified.
assistants and things like that?
Yeah.
Does anyone have another question or comment? If not, I need a motion to approve.
Motion so moved.
Got a motion, I need a second. I'll second. A second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next item is discussion and possible action on paid warrants in the amount of $529,748.31. Any questions or comments?
This is titled Orders of Treasurer.
Orders of treasury.
Yeah, okay. So, the County Water District, what is that for? How many, it says, is it from 5/9/16 to present day?
That's the May water bill.
$17,000.
Keep looking. Keep looking. No, the one on the bottom is 117,000.
Yeah, that's what I meant, 117,000, yeah.
That's the total of all of them.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, sir, okay. I see, then, okay, 4 is more in line. I just flipped out when I saw that number and it's so close, but,
That's 4343.
yeah, I see it now. You see where I made that mistake? Guess you got me back. Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions or comments on the other part? If not, I need a motion to accept. I make a motion to accept. I have a motion, I need a second.
I'll say.
Have a second, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. Next item is going to be discussion and possible action on conferences, vehicle requests, fundraisers, and use of district property. I would like to add on this, if I may, I know I need to go to training in Lexington KSBA conference. I've been meaning to mention that to you. And probably Nikki, I don't know if anyone else goes, but Nikki and I went last year because we're the newest, we have to have more hours. That's in July at Lexington.
Well, I think that's open to anybody that wants to go.
Oh, yeah, anybody else?
Yeah, I need hours.
I do too. So I just want to add that to the.
You mean, Ms. Walker, to include that
Yes,
on this?
because
Yes.
we want to include it on next month's agenda, but I saw on down here where we weren't going to meet again until the 14th, and that would have been accurate, because I think it's July 8th and 9th.
Hopefully we meet next week, but
Oh, okay.
we gotta wait and see.
Never mind. We can put it on that then.
But,
You can't add it to this one. Okay, does anybody have any other questions or comments? If not, I need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, I have a motion, I need a second. I'll second. Okay, I have a motion, have a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next item is discussion and possible actions on superintendent assurance. You want to explain that later?
I just gave that to you. It looks like it's just all the, it's all the assurances, the same we're gonna do, what we say we're gonna do with federal money and, state money. Should have seen these probably every year, every summer.
No, I think this is my first one, and I thank you for it. Have you seen this before? Thank you, Mr. James.
That first page, Perkins money, that's home ec, consumer sciences. That's just saying that we're gonna do what we say we're gonna do with federal and state money.
Does anyone have any questions on it or comments?
I like comment on it, I think it's great.
Yeah.
I too appreciate this document.
I appreciate
Mr.
it
James.
too. I appreciate it too.
And I believe, I'd have to agree with my colleague, way up there on the other end, I don't think I've seen one.
I haven't either, and I
Since we've
appreciate
been
it. I
in.
thank you.
And I haven't either. When I saw that on the agenda, I thought, well, what's assurance, superintendent assurance?
Okay.
I'm sure they were filed, but letting us see this is what
I probably asked for it.
yeah, this is excellent. Thank you.
Okay, I need a motion to accept on this. Superintendent assurance.
Motion made.
I have a motion, I need a second.
I'll say.
All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, discussion and possible action on certified evaluation plan for school year 16-17.
And this is our certified personnel evaluation plan. It's the same as, when did the board originally adopted this?
Adopted it last year,
Last year.
15-16 school year. It didn't have the other professionals in it, and this year the state has pulled them in. Be part of the plan next year. We made those revisions and sent it to Frankfurt, and it's been approved. All that needs to be signed tonight is the superintendent and the board chairman will sign the assurance page for it, saying that we're going to follow that certified evaluation.
Was there any differences, many changes from this year to last year?
Just 8 things, and it was the 8 things bringing the other professionals that are exempt from it for a pilot, bringing them into the plan.
Like guidance counselors, that kind of
Guidance
thing.
counselors, MEDS library specialists, and all those have been brought into their own set of criteria that they operate under. About 8 things, I think.
Teacher, principal, part, all that stayed
All
the same,
stays
wasn't
the same.
it? It's changed.
District personnel, we did opt to keep it under the 2014 plan. That's for district level personnel, and that was an option. The state backed off on that to let the superintendent kind of steer that group that works in the central office to fall under his evaluation system. So we opted to stay under the 2014 system prior to 2014.
Was there was teacher input on this, wasn't there?
Yes. 50/50 committee received the electronic copy back in May, somewhere in that neighborhood.
I mean, but it's just 5 on the committee, 5 people on the committee, correct me if I'm wrong, I think there's about 5.
Yeah, it's equal number of administrators, equal number of teachers.
But were the other classroom teachers that are not on the committee, was it available to them to have input on this, on their evaluation plan?
That's why the members are there, 3 teachers, 3 administrators who seek input from the teachers. None were brought up, from this previous year's plan.
And there is there is a, if someone is not satisfied with their evaluation, they can
Appeal it. Appeal it.
appeal it. There is an appeals process in this.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have any more comments, questions? If not, I'm going to need a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion, I need a second. I'll second. I have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, discussion and possible action on advertising bids for the propane tank for school buses.
And it's just to give us permission to seek bids for propane fuel, and whoever we end up buying, purchasing propane from, they'll give us the tank. I think we gotta have a 3 to 5 year, minimum 3-year agreement. Is that correct, Mike?
That's what they asked for in order for them to do about a $20,000 investment into our propane. And bid on it, we would put the pad in and the safety cones and stuff to keep somebody from getting into it, and then they bring a big 1,000-gallon tank and just sit down on our side. So we can fuel on site.
Have you checked with Mr. Fairchild from in Johnson County about, I think it's Fairchild?
Yeah, he's got one bus and he has propane distributors, Furrow and Great American out here in range of his bus. And just
Sure, so they don't have to use, they don't have to have a tank on any of their properties?
No. He's got dealers in town where we don't.
Did you ask him, Mike, what, as far as bidding goes on the price of that propane? I know that Johnson County rebids their fuel, diesel, about every 2 weeks or a month, isn't it?
Yeah, he does a bid about every 2 weeks with diesel.
Okay.
Well, I talked to the person that's like, he's got 10 buses in some county, Crittenden County,
Yeah.
it's far western Kentucky.
Right.
And he has, I guess in the farm industry, you have a lot of propane distributors out there. So his case, he didn't have any surcharge, but he had companies would bid every year and bring that tank in and sell him propane at 64 cents a gallon. As compared to us, that in Martin County, we have a propane dealer that could even supply that here. So our closest is Great American over here at Loganville, which is about 16 miles, 12 miles from here. And then Farrell, which is over at Hager Hill, is about 16 miles. So I talked to both of them on what the price would be. And
But you're talking about bidding it for a 3-year period?
yeah, that's what Great American indicated, that they would like to at least have a 3-year propane agreement so that they could recover the $20,000 they're willing to invest by providing the tank and everything to us, 1,000 gallons.
I wonder if the $20,000 that they're going to invest is worth we don't know, the bid that they're going to put in. But I guess we'll find out when they put in the bid, and then we can do the math on that,
Both
correct?
companies indicate there would be a surcharge, for example, where you've got the tank and the equipment that they install. Great American indicated it was like 25 cents a gallon override for 3 years, whereas, and then Frere was right there too at 26. So they're pretty well even on what they would have to charge,
To pay for the tank.
pay for what they're gonna buy and bring to us. They said you can understand why we'd want at least a 3-year contract in order to recover the cost of this 1,000-gallon tank.
How do you feel about this, Mr. Superintendent?
I mean, that's what we gotta do. I mean,
It's a surcharge.
KDE couldn't buy us, they said, we just want to tell you on record, y'all so far ahead of the curve, we even consider doing propane, that we commend you, but we can't advise you on what to do or not do here at this point, but you would be commended for looking at this avenue.
So what you've got an option,
Commended.
like a surcharge per gallon, that would cover the cost of them doing that, the installation of the
At the end
pad.
of the term, who owns the tank?
Well,
Yeah.
at the end of the term, you know, if you did rebid it at 3 years, then it's their tank, they're responsible for the upkeep and everything else. If you got a new bidder, they would come in and bring in their tank.
And you
So
could
we
talk
never
about
own a
3
tank.
years without the surcharge issue.
We don't want a tank.
Would the surcharge still apply in 3 years?
Depends on that next bidder, the way I understand it.
What would it cost us to have our own thing?
That's a good question.
We're just taking bids, right? We're just voting to take bids.
Yeah, we've got to have some kind of, and they said, the closest one is, down here, 10645, but the bus drivers would probably want to be able to fuel their bus on site. And we're getting 2 of them. You can bid any way you want to. You can say, you provide the tank or we buy the tank and see what that costs without the surcharge. Sort of like when you put gas pumps in, I guess, Mr. Bennett, like these, like they go on Gulf, they're gonna override my tanks. That's a good question. I can ask them further on that, see who's gonna hold them at the end of the day.
Counselor, can we ask for a dual bid?
Yeah, you can have alternate bids,
Yeah.
different ways.
Now, I would like to have it to where we eventually own the tank. And if we could get it, any place we want to get it. I don't want to be.
There's something wild about being charged for the tank and then at the end of 3 years, them taking a tank that we have paid for. It doesn't sit well with me somehow. Maybe we can, maybe that's the best way to do it, Madam Chair. What do you think, Roger?
Life's changing, I'm not in, I'm not up to date on propane and propane tanks, but, yeah. Like you said, though, it's thing, they charge you for the tank, that after the 3 years.
They take it.
It's your tank, but it should.
No, it's not.
Well, it should be. That's what I'm saying, it should
Well, it's
be.
just a fraction of the cost of the tank, right? It's not the whole cost of the tank.
Yeah, I think that's a great question to ask them, at the end of the 3-year deal, is that our tank?
I say it's not. I say it's not.
That could be put in mistakes.
Well, if it's a surcharge to pay for the cost of installation of the tank, then at the end of that 3 years, it should be our tank, and we can get, it should be our tank.
Right.
Get any provider that we want to.
Yeah. Do they deliver a lot of propane here in the county, any of these? Some of these trucks, I guess, one of, I don't know which one, used to be Hardware Charlie's. And they'd always go around, and at least Johnson and Floyd, people had mobile homes, they had propane, and they go around and fill up their tanks. I don't know if they have customers here, you think, I don't know if a lot of people still use propane. If they did, you would think that, it wouldn't be much to delivery, they shouldn't be.
Yeah, they're indicating to me that they would be almost weekly, sometimes bi-weekly, just coming by the tank to check it, plus keep it filled to an approximate level, and that was important, and then they own the tank, which is less liability on us, I guess, but, they perceived, could come by and just fill up the bus, which is. I know what you're saying. Or we run over and get it filled. I was hoping Tractor Supply would hurry up and get in the business. They're considering getting in, and they're everywhere. You just go to a Tractor Supply. But comparing our county to Crittenden County, the way he spoke is on the farm, and there's a lot of propane business. He said when he bids his tank year to year, whoever the new vendor is, bring the tank in, take the other one out, put the new one on, and go on about their business at 64 cents a gallon, which is amazing.
What's the price around here, do you know?
It's $1.26 and $1.27.
About twice as high, what they are.
Yeah, with the anticipation that hopefully next year, school system will be allowed to reapply to some type of agency, I guess federal agency, to get 37 cents a gallon back. So still working on all that stuff. So you see where it's getting really.
There's still a big savings over diesel. Big savings.
If they own the tank, would that be less liability for us?
That's what I was thinking.
Would it? If we own a tank, liability for us?
Basically just renting it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the question is what
How's your
can
propane?
happen?
The
to
surcharge
the
is kind of
I mean, if somebody's gonna manufacture the tank to some specifications, I wouldn't think that, and if they come in once or twice a week to fill the tank up, they're gonna be able to tell you if there's a problem with it.
the surcharge is kind of like a maintenance and a lease agreement on the tank for them to oversee the tank, oversee the farm, and to take care of it. That's why, most likely at the end of the term, that's why it's not our tank, we're just leasing the facility.
Right.
Mr. Casty, does that include training the drivers?
Yeah.
So if we buy our own tank, we'd probably have to pay to have someone trained to oversee the tank.
Both companies indicated that we poured a concrete pad, put up the posts to keep somebody backing into it, create the valley or whatever this tank sits in, and run the electric to it. And then they come in and train personnel on how to supervise it, and they will supervise it, and then how to fill buses and train the bus drivers and mechanics and stuff on proper maintenance of it.
Well, if it was a small surcharge for them to maintain it and everything, I could see that. Okay, it would, what kind of surcharge are we looking at? How big of a?
26 cents a gallon on American.
Well, like down
gas, and
Crittenden County.
27 furrow, so that was their first
Yeah, well, in Crittenden
offering
County,
line, I
that's,
felt.
yeah, well, in Crittenden County, that's about 40% of what they're paying for their fuel. Well, that don't sound good.
But this is just a vote for a bid, right?
Get see what we're getting,
I'll make that motion.
come to town and talk to the board.
What's the motion on the floor?
A motion to advertise bids for the propane tank. Get more information, basically. Yeah. Okay, have a motion, I need a second.
How much time do we have to have this all set up, Mr. Superintendent?
Well, we don't have the buses yet. So
Yeah.
So now's a good time.
Now's a good time, and then we'll see where we're at for July meeting, we'll still give us time
Okay.
to.
Okay.
Okay, so I have a motion for him to advertise for bids. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
A second, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is discussion and possible action on transportation and maintenance bids for school year 16-17.
I'll give you a list of, these are the maintenance and transportation bids. And Mr. Cassidy's got some more information for the fuel for the transportation. Has more direct costs. These were the low bids, the ones he has recommended by. And he's got some more information for the exact.
We've got 3 different bidders that we had.
These bids were open to the public. Anyone could bid?
Yep. Advertised the local newspaper. And we're open on the And on the fuel, we had 3 different bidders.
What would be a reduced off-road diesel fuel for, what would that be?
Thank you, ma'am.
That's just a different diesel that's out there, that's kind of a little lower grade. From what I can understand rightly.
What is it?
Off-road diesel.
Off-road diesel, what is
We
that?
don't want the red diesel, it's off-road diesel. It's a hurting our bus engines.
Not only that, the mileage.
Well, it
If I'm
says
out on
here-
the road and fill my bus up, I
That's
get
why
almost
you
twice the
see on
mileage.
the
I'm
bid,
getting.
I put green fuel only.
Yeah, we actually spec both of them, so that's why you got 2 of them on there.
So this says,
The red is bad, huh, girl?
Yes, it is for our buses, it's off-road fuel. They say it's not, but now when we when our tanks tore up and we had to go to Zip Zone up here on Blackwell to get fuel, they had us getting off-road diesel. It was right on the tank, off-road diesel. And that's not good on our diesel engines, it's a running them. That stuff gets in there and gels up, clogs our engines up. Or then you're looking at a lot of engine work.
So there was one gentleman said he took one of the buses down in, up in Ohio, filled it up before he went off, and he got up there and
Filled it up with the
got
green
really,
diesel.
really bad, gas mileage. He got up there and filled it up and it
With
ran
the
better and
green,
everything.
yeah.
But here it's saying that the green fuel is off-road.
That's
That's not the case?
No, I just put green fuel only out from it on the
Okay.
bid so that they could
Well, that's
bid,
what I
give
thought
us a
too.
bid on both.
So I know it's been questioned over the year about the 2-week bid and all that stuff. And so what we did is, when we advertised for these bids, and Glenn was correct, the number 2 diesel, if you'll see on the Mountain Petroleum, who was the lowest, at $1.63.04. The next one was Rogers Petroleum out of Pikeville at $2.08, $2.08.49 for the same diesel. And then we had one from Jones Oil Company that said 10% above whatever the rack rate, and that's a term from the refinery down here, rack rate, whatever you pay at the rack, at the petroleum refinery plus 10%. And so, in reviewing Mountains, they kind of they're in here too, the rack rate plus the tax plus a 5% markup for the diesel, 6% markup comparing the two apples to apples. And they had been giving us, according to the figures from the finance that I saw earlier, the question was, whatever it is, when you go down to fill up the jobber, the big tanker that brings it, Glenwood will call and order a load of fuel, and they fill both 459 as a, what's the average
They're
gallons that
supposed to
you're
come in at least every 2 weeks and fill up. Sometimes they have to call to get them to come fill up. They'll let them run out, Mountain Petroleum did. But
So-
it depending on how much our buses are going.
So the rack rate or whatever is paid is passed along to us. So if fuel prices go up when they go down the field, it's gonna be a little higher this month for that load of
They
fuel.
fluctuate,
If
yeah.
it's lower, it's gonna be lower. But just based on last year's figures compared to this year, they did pass that along to us, right along with the rack. It was like $100,000 less fuel due to the price of fuel going down. So we
You're
did
talking,
see-
you can buy it in 2 different ways, right? You can buy it in 2 ways. I mean, are we always gonna go by rack rate?
Whatever the rack rate
Yeah.
is at the institute,
Mhm.
that's what's been passed along to us. No, there's no, it's $1.75 a gallon right now. That would be for the whole year, kind of, no, it's passed based on what the rack rate is.
What's the percentage over there? Okay, what's the percentage over?
I think they're indicated here on theirs was like 6 cents, 6% I think markup,
And the other was
6-cent markup.
and the other was 10 cents, or 10%, right? on the rack rate.
Yeah, that was the other one, Jones Oil
That was
Company.
Jones, okay.
That was the only one, and that's a bulk plant in Louisiana, that they get from the refinery to Ashland, and then they have it there and they bring it up to us.
Jones is out of Pikeville.
But you said something.
And the other one, the one you mentioned before that, not Mountain Petroleum, what was the other one?
Rogers?
Rogers is out of Ashland.
Okay. Those are only 3 we got, so.
So the low bid for fuel, the good fuel,
Mhm.
is Mountain Petroleum.
Mountain Petroleum, that's the green fuel was $1. I'd have to look at that paper, but I can't remember.
$1.63 if
Yeah.
you compare it at today's rate, $1.63 compared to $1.93 out of Rogers. But now, Glenwood, whoever orders the fuel next year, need to make sure they're getting their green fuel.
Well, that's, that's the
I mean,
thing, I
yeah.
mean, because they
I
could.
will.
I just monitor it
Didn't get it sometimes.
every month, out down every fuel usage, monitor the price.
I say something about the fuel, I mean, I ain't got a dog in it, but I stopped at Raymond Cove, and they put his red fuel on mine. The DOT's caught me 2 miles down the road and they charged me $3,400. They fined me $3,400 for having 34 gallon of fuel in my truck. If they catch them in those buses, they'll park them.
Well, it ain't happened, but I'm looking for it to.
I mean, if the DOT's, I had to sit there for 3 hours to wait on a government inspector to come. They stuck a probe down in my fuel tank, and I didn't even know it was red fuel. When I give them my receipt, it said road fuel, but they put red fuel in it. And I went to court and I paid them $3,400, $100 a gallon fine.
Well, what?
Well, it's,
Wow.
As far as the tires.
thank you.
Highly illegal.
Yeah,
They
what,
will not let you put off-road fuel in no kind of vehicle running down the road. Because I went to federal court, and they charged me $3,400.
okay, what is off-road diesel, what's it used for?
It's used for farm tractors, dozers, stuff like that.
Things like that, okay.
If you run a backhoe on the road, you gotta put road fuel in.
All right.
I mean,
So
you
it's a
know.
lower grade.
We've complained about this for years. And finally Mike listened to me this year and he let me put green fuel only on it.
If the DOT pulls one of the buses over, and check them all, you ought to be
No
bankrupt.
one locally can bid on tires, is this just like bus
Because
tires?
now I can show you the receipt where I paid them $3,400.
All right,
And it,
believe
they got it in the glove box, and it said that truck held 34 gallons. They charged me $100 per gallon.
Oh, this is,
Tires, yes, that's
no
the,
one locally?
no one locally bid on it. That's like I said, the big bus tires.
Okay.
S&S tires, I think there's a statewide bid contractor anyway, they bid on it.
Yep.
Plus
They
Appalachian
service a
Tire
lot
out
of
of.
other counties too. In West Virginia and
I have to give Lima credit, I was not aware of such a detailed bid price. Then when we sit here and went through every item, 190, she's got it down to something's here at $2.10 compared to $20. She's got it for every item up there. So the tires, when she said state bid price, I knew that S&S probably, but we still went through it, and I think there are a couple that you've got earmarked to go to Appalachian Tire to get that are cheaper for that size tire, so she's that detailed.
I'll make a motion to accept the bid. Need a second?
motion is to,
Accept the bids, the low bids, the transportation amendments. Okay, I have a motion, I need a second. Second, all in favor say aye.
aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Our next item is discussion of possible action on revised BG1 for the new high school.
I gave you a copy of this last, I think just like an FYI in the last meeting. And the front page is the original BG1, and then the second page reflects the additional $5 million we got to help build our school. That was the only change. Of course, 5 million, everything else goes up too, architect fees, construction fees, but that was the difference.
Does anybody have any questions on that?
We just had to update our BG1.
Okay. If not, I need a motion to accept.
Motion made.
Have a motion, I need a second.
Second.
Have a second, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item discussion, possible action on declaring the contents of O'Shell Park High School surplus and starting the process of auctioning the contents.
I've had that question before. This is the old Shone Park property, and that's the board's, if we want to sell any part of it, the contents inside the building, then we've got to declare it surplus. And then if we want to do that, and then after that, we'll need to declare the building itself and property surplus. And then we need to do that before we can get an appraisal to see what the property's worth.
So we can't sell anything inside the building until we declare the other surplus?
Well, I think we can. We can sell the contents first.
Okay.
Correct, Mr. Smith? So, is this something the board wants to do? I guess that's the decision.
I'll make a motion that we.
I'll
We
second.
might as well, I mean.
Motion and a second. Okay,
And
question?
your rationale is you might as well?
Okay, for this reason here, if it's just gonna sit there, not be used, and just deteriorate, right, you've got food, your service stuff up there that in the kitchen and stuff like that Is of no value, it's not gonna
Anything
be,
that we can use, we have already gotten out of there.
I'm sorry,
Anything that we can use at any of the other schools, we've taken out and made it
okay,
to the other
and the
schools.
stuff that's sitting there is just gonna be,
So
the longer it sits, the less you're gonna get out of it.
I know for a fact that when the move was made, that some teachers at the new high school location received new things when they said they could use their old one just as well. And I'm talking about things like smart boards. Are there things up there that can be used by other people in this district rather than to let somebody come in and get them really cheap by auction to use in their district? Can we use, I mean, I'm sure there's some things up there that we, Martin County School District, could put to use, whether it's in the present location, whether it's in the new location, or whether it's in a location in Eden or Warfield or the middle school. Are there things up there like that?
I know we got, a couple teachers from vocational school, we got,
Smart boards and
Smart
maybe
boards
some
and
projectors too for my teachers that didn't have them.
Sure, okay. I wonder if
I'm
it's,
thinking there wasn't, I mean, they went in, I think, and got the best ones. I don't think there were a lot of,
it was pretty much peeked through, there's not, probably, I mean, other than being sentimental value, probably the kitchen stuff will probably be the only thing, and then that's if someone wants to start a restaurant or something like that.
I checked on having the cooler and freezer unit that is in there. I've checked on having that moved and
Well, I
I
know
can't relocate it at any of our other schools.
there was somebody at the Senior Citizen Center that asked me about that they had their milk was spoiling and stuff like that, and they asked about it, and I said, well, I didn't know, but what I can understand, there's rooms, there are rooms up there that are, refrigerated rooms, right? We have the units that do that, and it's not like a big
It's not just
standing,
as handle.
refrigerator or freezer or something like that could be used, so.
We have a motion and a second.
well, I want to say one other thing too, to explain, to ask. Am I the only one on this board that feels that, for instance, that gymnasium up there can't be fixed structurally if it is structurally unsound, and not used as a practice gym or a gym for, another gym for the purposes of basketball from anybody in this Martin County district? Am I the only one that feels that way? That it should be kept to try to use?
I wish we could. I really do.
I think that's the next item. I think we're just voting on
Yes.
extra
Surplus
items.
content.
Yeah.
The contents of it, right?
I know we had an architect, I think it's Mr. Sparkman, Mike Sparkman, whenever they came up and they had, what was that, report to come in, they did the structural tests and everything, nobody would say that it's safe, nobody say it's unsafe either. And, we'd, talk to him about, the approximate cost to remodel the gym, to make everything sound, and it was like $6 million. That's what, 6 to 8 million, I think, is what he said. Now, that's a lot of it's new. And the walls do, if you get outside the building, it kinda, or by the gym especially, you can look, you have to really look at the side, the wall, and it kinda, I mean, it's not straight up and down anymore. It's really not. Whether it's gonna fall down or not, I don't think so. No, it's not. It's definitely swayed.
I remember when we looked at the report, I mean, that was one of the things they talked about, the separation,
I think this is just the contents of it.
just the
that we're
content.
voting on.
Yes, I'm sorry, I was
Okay.
speaking on another matter, but I was grouping the two things together, Madam Chair, and I do apologize.
So you have a motion
We have
and
a
a second.
motion and a second. Okay.
No, I did have another question. Someone asked me today if, a lot of school districts, whenever they close gyms down, schools down, they sell, people like to buy parts of the gym floor. I never thought of that.
I think that's a great idea.
Now,
I know one.
do we want to get into that just yet or wait on that?
We can just wait on that. If we do.
We can wait on it.
We can just wait on it.
Well, that's what-
I would prefer to wait on it, but if
Okay.
everybody else has a voice too, so.
Okay, I have a motion and a second on the surplus of the contents of
The
the
content.
building. Yes,
Except the gym.
I need a vote.
Contents in,
The
The school building.
School building, yes, the contents in the school building to surplus them. I have a motion and a second, I need a vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Now, our next is discussion and possible action to surplus the O'Shell and Clark High School building and property for appraisal.
I'll make a motion.
It's for appraisal. right?
Appraisal? Mm-hmm. Okay, I have a motion for appraisal only. I need a second.
Can I ask,
Okay.
can I ask, Mr. Schmidt a question? I remember a long time ago, we talked about this, you look at the building of its value and worth, would you what, it's obviously not gonna be worth,
What we think it's worth.
It's not gonna be worth.
it's not gonna
nearly
be
as
worth
much as
14
you
or
think
15
it
million
is.
dollars.
And, no, I've seen 10 or 15, maybe more, probably 20 anyway. School buildings, gymnasiums, high schools sold. And what you get into is, when somebody gets the property, for instance, if you look at Sheldon Park, it has a limited use. It's in the floodplain, and there may be asbestos in the building. And when these people go in, the cost of renovation may be more than, than the property's worth. So you won't know until you see if there's someone out there who may have a specific interest in the property or the building, and it may do all right. For instance, the old Prestonsburg elementary school property in downtown Prestonsburg was a great site for, you would think, commercial property. School had been there for many years, and it was in the floodplain, but it was several acres. That property appraised, Paul David Brown appraised that property for maybe $1 million or a little over $1 million. We never could get a bid above $400,000 on it. Finally, the Department of Education allowed the district to negotiate with the highest bidder below, and that was done, and the district got $500,000 out of it. So, you don't know, but when you think, well, this is a large building, people can use it, they're buying it in the condition and with the structural engineer's report and all that goes with it. So I think that's right. So if you were going to declare it surplus, you declare it surplus and then property appraised. If you don't want to sell it, you don't have to. Preston's Floyd Board tried to sell the old Allen Elementary School at least 3 to 5 times. They still own it, they never could get any bids for it. So that happens, so you just,
So how do you
you're
do
not
that?
obligated.
Do you set a reserve, or just say we don't accept your bids?
Yeah, when the offer, when you advertise for bids, you would say the board reserves the right to refuse any and all bids, so you don't bind yourself to accepting the highest bidder. You can accept it after the bidding, right? It would come back to the board, and the board would vote on whether to accept that bid or not.
You make a motion?
So you're not obligating.
So right now, we're second appraisal.
I'll second it.
Okay. Mickey?
on, going back to item 14, discussion and possible action on declaring the contents of the old SCHS surplus and starting the process of auctioning the contents. Were you talking, were you all doing that for the high school or the academic building or Bobby, the non-academic
Okay.
building, right? That's an old joke, it's great. But the gym, or all of it.
Right, I'd say except the gym.
It's Sheldon Park building, it's the building, it doesn't say anything about the gym.
You're talking about the previous, most of the
Yeah.
previous agenda about the contents. We're gonna leave the gym alone for now, right?
It's in-
Okay, thank you for clearing that up.
Okay, on the number 15, on surplus in the old Sheldon Park building and property for appraisal, I have a motion and I have a second. All in favor, say aye.
All right, so what
Opposed?
was appraisal?
Yeah, I vote no.
Okay. 4-1. The motion carries.
Seems to me, I was in Fayette County, West Virginia, there's a lot of empty schools in that county, a lot of empty old school buildings, and I think I know why they are, because
Well, and there's a cost associated with having an empty building, plus the risk of vandalism and injury and so forth. You still got to insure it,
Exactly.
and you still got to, but the Department of Education will never let you go in and refurbish it. So it's a wasting asset in a sense.
It's a liability.
Yeah.
Okay. Our next item is discussion and possible action on insurance quotes for property and workers' compensation. Larry?
You can look at the last 2 pages, our property insurance actually went up, but our workers' comp went down. And so we'll end up totally $16,000 less insurance for next year than what we paid this year. It's on the last 2 pages.
so we're $15,000 to the good, or
To the
This
good
is,
deal.
this was done under bid, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
How many bids did you have come in, Mr. Superintendent?
We had 2. Well, these were the lowest 2.
Okay.
This was prepared from Gail Carter. It was Liberty Mutual ended up with the lowest bid this time. They tried to cancel us a couple years ago. A few years ago, a little more than that. But, so property went up, but
They were carrying us for cocaine scene now.
yeah. They'll end up being cheaper than Wright Specialty. And I recommend we take the low bid.
I think we still need to turn in a claims form too.
Okay, is there any more questions on the insurance quotes for property and workers' compensation? Since we're saving money?
yeah. I
Does
make a motion.
anybody, okay. Gary makes a motion to accept, I need a second.
We'll make sure we plead for that wage and mutual grant.
Okay.
I'll say.
I have a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is going to be discussion and possible action on lifting a hiring freeze.
I make a
Why?
motion.
Why
What's
was
the rationale on that?
Yes. Larry?
Well, before school starts, we will have some special ed positions. There'll be needed positions open.
These is not new
Before school
positions,
starts.
but the positions we
Right.
already
Right,
have.
right, yeah, there's no new positions.
Well, you can't go anywhere unless we,
Unless you
that's not what
create it.
we're asking. I'll make a motion.
So this is for the positions that are already out there that will be vacated, and you need to hire somebody for.
Yeah, in schools.
Okay.
Okay, I have a motion. Have a second?
I'll say,
Have a second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next item, discussion possible action on job description for public relations director stipend.
I'll give you the job description for, and this is not it's not a full-time position, it's just an added duty to someone who can help get out all the good news, good things that go on in our school system. This is a few a few items on their job description.
Will this be posted so any individual that feels they have the credentials would be able to apply?
Yes. I can-
district-wide, right?
Yes.
What is the stipend, how much? It doesn't have a dollar figure on it here.
$3,000. I looked at all the other stipends that we have, and that's kind of the going rate, so to speak.
Does anyone have any more questions on that? If not, I need a motion.
I'll make that motion to have that public relations director position. I think every school needs one.
Okay, I have a motion, have a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next item, discussion and possible action on job description for health service assistant. Health
Like the May meeting, we're gonna have we're gonna have a certified nurse in the Warfield area, then a certified nurse in Inez, Tomahawk area. Then each school's gonna have a health and service assistant. So I just listed some of the duties that they will be doing, the health nurse assistant in the building.
Does anyone have any questions or comment on those?
Did you write these, Mr. Superintendent?
No,
Sounds pretty good.
I stole them off somebody.
Well, that's okay, you should have taken credit
I'll
for
take
it.
credit.
No, they're pretty good.
We revised.
Okay.
What's the cost? I mean,
We already talked about it. Yeah, we did that, we voted on that last meeting.
yeah, we did, yeah, that is right. Yeah.
5 weeks
All
or
right,
so.
Okay,
And what was it?
okay. I'll
So we're
make
gonna
a-
have, yeah, so we're gonna find one nurse.
Extra service days.
Okay. I have a motion, I need a second.
I'll second.
Have a second, all in favor say aye. Opposed, motion carries. Discussion possible action on accepting KSBA policy revision updates. First reading.
Okay, well, I'm sure you've already read these over the weekend. But, this is basically, we pay for this policy, these are updated to just, they update our procedures, gives us opportunity to, you can look through them, and not a whole lot of changes, I think it's marked or underlined, what you can tell here. Most of the time, it's just the wording has changed, and there are some additional policies. That's things that, we're required legally to do, to change our procedures.
It's best practices, basically, within your policies of what they want the district to follow. And if you look at the attachment on KSBA, in red are the changes. Your copy you have in front of you are not in color.
Okay.
But if you look on KSBA on the attachment for that item, that agenda item, you'll see the things that were changed are in red.
And, you can look through these, and there's a checklist behind each section. And that way, if there's anything we want to revise, we can. Bring up the next meeting or the next two meetings. There's no really, I think we gotta make our changes by August, but, we got some time to look through these and take as is or make changes, whatever we want to do.
I'll make a
What about
motion.
board?
I need a, okay, yeah.
Well, our board attorney,
Well,
KSBA,
I haven't seen them,
Yeah.
but generally, to some extent, each school district has policies that aren't always exactly the same as other districts. But for those, they've basically drafted or have looked, and if they had seen the problem, they would have commented. So generally, these are okay. I mean, I haven't seen them, but, for instance, there's a court case, a recent Sixth Circuit opinion on students from other districts, on expulsion of students from other districts. And I think that policy is in there. Perry went through changing theirs, and we did a little redraft because of certain issues they have with one district. But everything's okay. Those have all been checked out by their lawyers and their professionals, so you can generally rely on their validity.
Okay. I have a motion on accepting this KSBA policy revision update as our first reading.
I'll make a motion.
I've got a motion, I need a second.
I'll second.
I'll second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. The next item is discussion and possible action on leave of absence request from an employee at Shelby Park High School.
Madam Chair, I wonder if it's not an appropriate thing to do and Counselor, if we can, have this discussion along with other things that we're doing in closed session.
I agree.
I wonder if it's
Well,
protocol to be able, I mean, not protocol.
It probably shouldn't be. And the reason is because when if you want, we can look at the statute specifically, but on 61-810-1, the issue involving personnel is discussions or hearings which might lead to the appointment, discipline, or dismissal of an individual employee, member, or student without restricting that employee or member student right to a public hearing if requested. So if it was dealing with personnel, the issue would be something that would lead to either hiring for a position the board hired, okay? And that wouldn't be involved here. Discipline or dismissal, and that would be discipline or dismissal of someone that the board had hired, or maybe the superintendent had a report, and my opinion is that wouldn't be appropriate for executive session. Generally, and I don't know the facts here, but if someone had, if we looked at the leave of absence law, you can deal with that if you have some minimal amount of information. For instance, a leave of KRS 16177 governs leave of absence, and insofar as an employee asking for a leave, there's a couple of reasons that the law allows the leave, okay? Upon written request of a teacher or superintendent, a Board of Education may, you don't have to, but you may grant a leave of absence for a period of not more than 2 consecutive school years for educational or professional purposes, and shall grant such leave where illness, maternity, adoption of a child or children, or other disability is the reason for the request. So, if the employee has asked for a leave because of an illness, maternity, adoption of a child or children, or other disability, you know what it is. The public doesn't need to know. You have to grant that leave.
Shall.
All right? If it is for a superintendent or a teacher and they ask for a leave for professional or educational purposes, you may grant the leave. Unless it's for one of those reasons, a granting of a leave isn't appropriate unless under subsection 2. Sometimes a teacher will be teaching and that teacher will be thought to be unqualified due to a mental or physical disability. The superintendent may then have the person or ask the board for a leave. They can take it to a tribunal if they want, but that's the next one. But so normally when leaves come up before boards, you don't get into details or discussions. It either applies or it doesn't. Oh, you understand?
I understand completely, and I thank you. You've earned your keep in the last 10 minutes here. No,
if you went into an executive session and it was later found that it was inappropriate,
right,
whatever you did or didn't do would be voided.
Yes,
So
I
there's no
understand.
point in doing that.
Thank you.
So
Thank
Ms.
you.
Buss, has to be a written request, correct?
Upon the written request, that's
Which my
correct.
wife asked for, she did not know, and of course, almost, I guess, in turn, because she didn't do it in writing, she most,
One would like to think that someone would have told her.
well,
You need to put it in writing.
because she almost lost her teaching certificate. So I guess we need to make
And you're
sure.
just granted a spot. You're not guaranteed the job that you had in, correct?
If you come back,
Right, if you come back.
well, all right. Well, no, here's,
He's good, man, he's good.
all right.
He's got the pages marked.
Here's what it says. Well, 2 or 3 items above, I happened to look down and see this, and so I anticipated there might
You
be.
didn't have to say that, you can just say.
Every now and then I get lucky.
It's just like a minister, you know the Bible so well. That's your Bible, buddy.
That's right.
Maybe he knows that so
You got the footnotes marked.
Yeah.
All right, here it is.
You shouldn't have to look.
If the person taking leave agrees in writing to return to employment with the district, a Board of Education may pay a sum of money equivalent to any or all of a portion of the salary of a teacher or superintendent who's been granted leave for educational, professional purposes if the person granting the leave agrees in writing to return with the board. Without request, let's see. Upon return, subsection 3, to service of a teacher or superintendent at the expiration of the leave of absence, he shall resume the contract status which he held prior to the leave. So he or she would return to a teaching position with the same status they had, but that position that they left would not necessarily be available to them. If you had a principal or assistant principal or a guidance counselor, they'd return in some administrative position, but it might not be the one that they left. But it'd be comparable salary days, whatever you could fit in.
And there's,
I'm telling you, I'm gonna brag on you, buddy. Thank you very much.
so a principal leaves, then he comes back in a year, he has to, what if he's only 1 or 2 years experience? He's not been around for 10 years or whatever. Next
He
position.
could,
Does he still have to
he
come
could
back?
come back, well, if he hasn't, and you're asking a question now, the statute doesn't answer. But if you had someone and the leave was granted, he's supposed to come back in the same type of position they left in. You might grant leave and tell him, look, I'm not guaranteeing you this position, if you want to take it. But if that situation could be solved by demotion, unless when he comes back, that could be solved by a demotion.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion for the leave of absence for the employee at SCHS.
To grant that motion, you
Yes,
say?
to grant the motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, have a motion, have a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Our next item is discussion and possible action on leave of absence requested from the employee at Martin County Middle School.
I make a motion.
I have a motion to accept. I need a second. A second? Okay.
If the motion dies, the lack of a
Yep,
second.
like a
that's
second,
the end of the-
yes, that's in,
Okay.
okay.
Now on to
So, motion dies due to lack of a second, okay. Next item is going to be discussion and possible action on canceling the regular meeting July the 9th and scheduling a special meeting on July the 14th.
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion, I need a second.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Our next item is going to be our reports. Do we have an administrative staff report?
No.
No. The Martin County Education Association report?
Good evening, I'm Connie, I'm president with our local here in the county. And as of August of last year, we had a contract ratified. And now it's the end of the year. And regretfully, it hasn't been recognized very well. When it was ratified, I assumed it would be board policy and would be used appropriately. So this evening, I have asked our Uniserv rep to come and speak to us and try to amend our ways and make sure that at the beginning of this year, our contract was really recognized and used appropriately. This is Becky
Amend our
Stacks,
ways?
the contract way.
What do you feel we're not doing?
She's gonna,
I'm Becky Skaggs. I'm the UNICEF Director for Martin County employees, association employees. So Connie asked me to come tonight and to talk a little bit about the contract. And so what I'm going to do is bring up one part of the contract, which I think will help solve all the problems, because it's not your job to solve, employee problems. But what we have in Article 6 and Section 1 of the contract, it calls for the establishment of a labor management committee, and it's to be made up of 3 or more people appointed by the board, and then 3 or more people appointed by the association. And the first purpose of this committee is to meet to, and this is language from the contract, to discuss overall relations, exchange information, receive suggestions, consider problems, offer solutions, and discuss improvements. And as Connie mentioned, we do have problems. And I'll just give you a few examples so that you see the need for this committee. The automatic dues deduction for new hires is not being implemented fully. We have a dispatcher who refuses to follow the contract rules for giving out extra runs and calling in subs for absent drivers. We seem to have at least 1 or more principals who aren't aware of the contract, or maybe they are and they just don't abide by the rules of posting classified job vacancies, which will allow the most senior employees to at least have an interview and be considered for any job vacancies.
We've done that. I know the principals are aware because we've met.
Prior to our meeting, there seems to be kind of widespread unawareness of that. We've had discrepancies in the number of hours paid to 2 different drivers with comparable runs and comparable time taken to complete these runs. And we have a summer food program, I understand, which should have allowed the most senior employees a chance to bid on the work for the summer food program, but I understand it was not. So these are just a few examples of why we need to form this committee, because this committee could deal with these issues and come up with solutions and suggestions. So I ask the board to form this committee tonight, and maybe by the end of the week submit 3 names to the superintendent, which Connie will do the same for the association, so that we can get started on finding some solutions to these problems.
Was there any complaints before with the previous administration?
I don't know, I've only
You said since last August, it'll be August.
I've been the UNICEF director here for the Martin County Association for about 2 or 3 months, and in that time, my phone rings almost daily with issues and problems. And so I think the way to solve them is, I'm not asking you to solve them, I'm just asking you to form the committee as the contract calls for, so that we can have resolution and have a smooth year next year.
Are you saying that the calls that you get daily, are they from Martin County or are they from the area that you serve?
Martin County. Of course, I get calls every day from all the counties I service, but I get a lot of calls from Martin County, about the contract issues, that the contract's not being followed.
Administration of the contract, we've got a new superintendent. And from the time this contract was adopted, you've been through 3 superintendents, you're in your 3rd. Can I make a recommendation also based on your policy of not doing anything at that meeting, when it comes up for the first time? If you would delay until the 2nd meeting, it might give your superintendent and administration an idea to get a handle on some of the problems and to make recommendations for the appointment. And keep the board at some distance, and you'd be ruling ultimately on issues, maybe if there was a grievance on whether the contract was being followed, but allow the superintendent the opportunity to come up with members who could represent his administration in dealing with the people, rather than, it probably wouldn't be appropriate for a board member, but the board members ought to consider who the superintendent might want, and he'd probably need a few days.
And I will say that we did have a meeting with Mr. James, Mr. Cassidy, and, you know, they've already worked on trying to fix a lot of those problems. But we felt like, you know, we don't want to be in your office every week, you know, with stuff. If we have the committee that's mentioned in the contract, the Labor Management Committee, they could take care of these things.
And who is the Martin County KEA president now? I know there's a new one.
Me.
For classified, it's Connie Brewer.
Or certified.
Certified Bruce Harkins.
And we have worked through, you know, there's been a few grievances filed. And we've tried to work through them, but it's repeat, you know, it's just not, people jump ahead and do what they're used to doing before, you know, they think it's board policy, the old board policy. They're not familiar with the contract.
So how many grievances have we filed?
2.
Okay, and where did they?
Not posting the jobs and stuff, and at that time, at their meeting, they'd agreed to post it 5 days in the system and on the webpage.
Oh, so the grievances were resolved, right?
In office, yeah, but since then, you know, and that's the whole purpose of the contract, is so that every person is treated equally and with respect. Not pull, you know, there's been some people hired from outside before the job was even posted, and I didn't know about it till the end of the year.
We looked at that hiring freeze, we've already.
Well, that's nothing to do with hiring freeze, it's whether they let the classified workers have the opportunity to bid on that job or ask for that job before they took it outside. That's what I'm talking about, not the hiring freeze.
I don't know if that's a board issue, I don't
Well,
know.
It's a contract.
It's a board issue in so much that we accepted a contract with certified and the classified employees. They have contracts, so it is a board issue there in that respect. However, it's difficult for anything to be solved when you don't know what the problem is. It seems to me that at least one or maybe 2 of the things that you brought up, Ms. Skaggs, is that it's a problem with the classified employees themselves not going by the contract. Is that correct?
Some of those problems are.
And
That
that is so, that is,
No, I'm saying that, I know that solving these problems is not a board issue, but the forming of a committee was part of the contract and it was not formed. And the committee is to take care of these problems. So we're asking for the committee to be formed.
Well, I think, what Mr. Schmidt said is a good
So-
idea.
I think the committee ought to be formed. All I'm saying is, you've got a new superintendent, you've had some changes in administration over time.
Yeah.
And in fairness to Mr. James, you know, you're just talking a week or 2, and then maybe everything, a plan can be put together where there can be meetings and people can speak for
Right.
both sides and you can work it out.
That's what we're saying, we need something to
Well, I know your reason.
So we're
Yes,
So
we
we're
worked on all
asking for
that.
time to get this put together, okay?
So one issue we had that came up was, I guess, the bus driver overcrowding the bus. So does this mean we have to wait rather than remedy that problem?
No,
that position was already
that's
hired.
something the director of transportation.
That's when we
I
looked
think
at the
that's one
hiring.
of the questions that came up.
Yeah, that was when we looked at the hiring freeze.
and
and
we were
that was a
told
good thing,
in
guys.
a meeting that
There
it
was
was
overcrowding.
a safety issue
And there was.
by
Bus.
Actually, our director
did.
of transportation.
the director and someone else.
Some of the other bus drivers.
Yeah, I remember, yeah.
And my
I'm not gonna
son,
say any names, but yeah. And so we did take an action on that, whether it was the appropriate action or the action that satisfied the leadership of the
I think we all.
classified, I don't know, but what we wanted to do was take action for the safety of students at that time. And we were quite scrutinized for taking that action.
Nick,
which
exactly, I mean, you're exactly right, I support. It was safety, it was safety.
safety.
Yeah, but I will go on record saying I believe this committee should be formed and formed as immediate as Mr. James can be brought up to to snuff about these problems, maybe other problems, and has some time to get this, you know, his membership of the committees, of the committee. You say 3 from the,
It's 3, or you can have more. It says 3 or more. From the board, recommendations from the board, 3 or more from the association.
yeah.
So, yeah, we're, you know, I'm open to that as long as we can, you know, get
Have
something.
you appointed yours?
No.
I'd like to say also, it's not just the transportation problems. It's all over. Our cooks, our assistants, all of them has been unrespected in the contract, in that area. I'm not just talking about transportation. Your transportation area is your biggest
Like
problem.
I say, I
It's
can't
not
solve a
transportation.
problem if I don't know what the problem is.
Well, it's been discussed quite a bit this year, so that's why we're
It's
asking
been
for the
discussed with
committee.
me.
Superintendents, not just Mr. James, but previous superintendents and previous ones before, so that's been a big
Well,
problem.
you know, that's the reason you have a contract, that's the reason you have the grievance process. I mean, you file a grievance, and that's, you know, it's pretty much black and white. It's filed.
The contract is self-executing.
Yeah, and if it's.
So what we're looking at is to form the committee.
Yeah.
Go.
Right, think of it.
And so we could get, so we could meet before school starts,
And what will the committee do? I mean,
hear the problems, offer resolutions, offer suggestions, try to, it'd be like your first step in a grievance.
be like a mini board for
Miss
the,
Ms. Skaggs, you may not be aware of this, you might not got a call on it, but I suggested one night in an open board meeting that the bus drivers get together, have a committee of them come before us and tell us what the problems are so we could solve them before the new year. Was anybody here that heard that?
I was.
Oh, thank you.
But like I said,
and
it's not
that
just the bus
has-
drivers.
I know, but that's, for instance, one thing that I had asked for that went not, you know.
So at this time, you need to get your people together, we need to get our people together and sit down. So we're agreed that that's what's gonna happen, okay?
So your people
Let-
talk to their people.
Want to have a motion?
Do we need to make a motion for that? It's just,
need to-
this is just.
I don't think so, because it's already in contract.
You can take it up at the next meeting,
Okay.
and that'll give the superintendent enough time to be able to assess what might be needed.
Can I say something and I'll leave?
Yeah.
Just like, who would, if they was aimed to hire somebody and somebody had 12 years in, somebody had 6 months in, who would, you know, who should get, you know, should the one with 12 years step down, you know, move down the ladder, and the one with 6 months come up the ladder?
No, sir.
Not if they're both.
No, sir.
And, you know, the one that's been there the longest, that's what's happening.
If you, well, the bidding process isn't working the way a union bidding
You know, if
process
they-
should
If they
be.
go, just say they're gonna have interviews tomorrow, they go today and they move all their stuff around, you know, they say, well, we're just having interviews because, you know, we already know who we're gonna hire. You know, they said the interviews was nothing, they meant nothing. They just had to do
who said
it
that though? Who said
for
that?
you all, Mr. Hall,
Who?
Mr. Hall,
I can,
Principal of Eden.
I can say the bidding process is not part of the
And
building.
someone said we said they meant nothing?
Yeah, they take 3 or 4, and, you know, they let them go up and around the school. You know, if the one, you know, like I say, the one that's up here, that ought to move on up to that, that ain't the way it goes.
I think
That's
that's
not,
what
that's,
it is.
that's not really a board
Well,
issue
I-
this time.
I feel,
Whose issue is it if it ain't the board's issue?
I feel that it's very unfortunate, sir, that the bidding process is, if it's like what you say, and I have no reason to doubt your word, that it's unfair. It's unfair, and I feel terrible about that.
I think we all.
As one.
It's unfair that it's so favoritism. It's over
Who's that?
favoritism.
What's that, huh?
Who's hired, it's over favoritism. They get
Yeah,
hired.
you know, they tell you that right up front, you know, they say, well, we don't have to go by what nobody says, we do what we want.
Okay, if you're talking,
You have a contract.
yeah.
No, it ain't no good, you know, I don't even
Well,
work there.
then, okay,
Well, it's,
okay then,
well,
But
you
I
know,
thought you
Wait,
all
wait,
already
wait.
knew, no, that's the only reason
I'm
I'm
just trying
here.
to help.
But if you're
Ask
talking
some of the ladies and men that work there.
Okay,
It doesn't matter.
Read this contract.
Okay, but I thought you were talking about if somebody had 12 years' experience and somebody else had 6 months.
That's what I'm talking about.
Well, I'm talking about new hires.
Never will be on it.
Okay, I assumed that you thought
They
it
don't
was
even
new
have that
hires.
experience.
What I'm saying, if you have those years in the system, then seniority should,
Well, you know, they should, that's what they said, but when they went and talked to him, he said it means
I'm the
nothing
one
to
he's
him.
talking about. I have 12 years in, and the other one that they hired has 6.
6
I have
months.
more credentials than she does also. But mine wasn't even really looked at, I mean, it was like a put on interview because he already knew he was gonna hire.
Yeah, he even
He already
said it
told
was
me
put
that.
on.
Okay.
I don't think this has anything
I
to
don't
do with
know,
us.
you're somebody,
yeah, let's get it again.
you're getting into an issue that
This is not a
I
board
wouldn't
issue.
wanna discuss it with that camera on.
No,
Well, this is not a board issue, so we can't discuss it.
no, but you do
We're
have a,
not over
Can't discuss
personnel.
personnel.
We're not
but you
over
have a
personnel.
but you have a contract, you should go by.
Yeah, that's why we need the committee and to work on our
That's
contract.
why we'll get this committee.
I want-
It out, okay?
Yes.
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 Let's-
Yes.
Get that
Let's
committee.
work it that way, okay?
Yes, that's why
Let's
we-
get the committee, give us a chance, okay?
Yes.
Okay, Aaron, next time we're gonna do school reports, and thank you.
Just go right with this too.
School reports, Aaron. Okay, this time I need a motion for approval to enter into executive session to KRS 61810-1C, proposal of pending litigation. And motion, I need second.
Okay.
And second, all in favor say aye.
All right.